What's up, people? It's FYGP, and today I want to cover a couple of videos by Tucker Carlson. Since Tucker Carlson is pretty much one of the only voices on the mainstream media that has been allowed, I don't know for what reason exactly, but that has been allowed to voice concerns over the lockdown and to actually oppose the mainstream opinion. So let's take a listen to Tucker Carlson uh, and to a sheriff that he brings on that refuses to enforce the lockdown.
People risk jail for trying to earn a living, but in other places, law enforcement officers are refusing to play along with what is so obviously a power grab with no basis in science. Mojave County, Arizona is bigger than the state of Maryland by territory. So far, it's had fewer than 150 coronavirus cases. Now, the sheriff says he will not enforce Governor Doug Ducey's draconian stay-at-home order. Sheriff Doug Schuster joins us tonight. Sheriff, thanks so much for coming on. So you will not enforce this. Why?
Well, first of all, Tucker, thank you for having me. I want to be very clear. This is not the country that I grew up in. I never thought I'd see a day where hardworking Americans are criminalized for trying to make a living supporting their family. We look at this through the Constitution, which is very clear. It's obvious to me that we have a lot of overreach, which is very damaging. And according to the Constitution, last time I checked, the law of the land, in order for a law to be constitutional, it must fairly apply to all of our citizens equally, and that's not the case out here. And so, having said that, I made the statement that I am not going to make criminals out of people who are trying to make a living, and I stand behind that statement.
So does Doug Ducey believe, your governor, believe that he has the right to supersede the Constitution? Has he explained this to you?
I haven't personally spoken with Governor Ducey. I'm sure the man is doing what he feels is best. The concern I have is you're talking about guidelines that are coming from the CDC that are turned into executive orders, which are now being brought into law, and we're literally making it a crime to try and make a living, and that's something that I am not going to stand for.
Good on him. Good on him. I applaud this man, really. If that's not all controlled opposition, but it doesn't seem like it. I don't know.
Why should rules that apply to Maricopa County, which is the most densely populated county in Arizona, apply to Mojave County, which is obviously not?
Well, that's a question that's been asked repeatedly. Every area is different based on geographical basis. Mojave County is a very rural county. We are very widespread,
yeah.
And a lot of our county borders up to California, Utah, and Nevada. We continue to see a large influx of people coming in, enjoying the summer, the activities that Arizona has to offer, specifically Mojave County, and yet we're telling our locals to stay in lockdown, and that if they leave their houses or if they, dare go to work, there could be criminal repercussions. And the concern I have, Tucker, it's very clear. In my hometown, in Lake Havasu City, many businesses are open, while others are being told they can't, even if they choose, even if they elect to operate their private business adhering to all the safety guidelines that are in place. No one's trying to downplay the COVID virus. We want everyone to be safe, right. But I think the American public is smart enough to make their own choices and decisions at this point.
Exactly. Everybody is smart enough to make their own decisions and take their own precautions. You don't need the nanny states to come in and enforce lockdown. You don't need that. Let's take a look at another video by Tucker Carlson. This time titled Totalitarianism Doesn't Shock Us Anymore. And perhaps we can listen to the conclusion.
To this country from around the world precisely because our Bill of Rights.
And there's an ad. I'm sorry. Damn,
people are not asking the right questions. They're not asking the right questions because they kind of think.
Okay, good.
Gave them this guarantee. It's why this country was founded. And in a moment, it's gone.
Yeah.
How? Where did politicians get the authority to do this? Because some elderly, power-drunk epidemiologist told them to do it? That's not how our system works. It can't work that way. Occasionally, you hear someone complain about this. Some lonely civil libertarian will fret that we may be on a slippery slope toward losing our rights.
It is a slippery slope towards losing our rights. That's precisely what it is, as highlighted by the COVID bill, which states to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities. Related activities. Ha, very slippery right there, right? It's just for COVID, so it's also for related activities, such as contact tracing through mobile health units and, as necessary, at individuals' residences and for other purposes. There we go. With other purposes, anything can be done. Anything can be justified. Other purposes. Oh, it's just other purposes, right? You can do anything, basically. Give me a break. It's a slippery slope, for sure. Excuse me.
If only. We're already there. We've slid to the bottom of that slope. Our rights are gone.
Yep. Our rights are fucking gone. And I knew that without Tucker telling me, so.
No one has explained how politicians are allowed to do this. Where's
Nobody has explained that.
the authority come from? How can they override the Constitution? Nobody seems to care. They're too afraid. But if you think this moment is scary, consider what might come next. Now that we've ceded all authority in the country to our political leaders, what can't they do? What are the limits to their power? That's not a theoretical question. It's not an argument over philosophy or political theory. It is the most practical possible question. The answer will define where this country goes next. What can't politicians do in the name of public health? As it stands, politicians won't let people worship or work or go to school or see their aging parents.
You won't get to see your parents. You also won't be able to participate in the birth of your baby due to this tyrannical government lockdown.
Place the nation under house arrest. That's happening today, right now. But let's say we all get more afraid. What then? What couldn't they start doing? Could they intern people?
Yeah. With other purposes, right? For other purposes. Contact tracing. It's going to be done through the mobile data, of course. For your mobile phone data, it's going to be done. Right? That's how they're going to find out with who you have been in contact with. Thanks to the NSA surveillance state, that should be easy to do. Right? For mobile health units, as necessary, at individuals' residences and for other purposes. And for other purposes. Leaves it out to do pretty much anything.
Seriously. You can dismiss the possibility of that if you like, but remember that just a few months ago, most of us would have dismissed as ludicrous the possibility that propaganda-spewing drones would be hovering above. Now we have them.
Yeah, exactly. And he showed the drones, he showed the police overreaction. Let's take a look at the police overreaction right here. 1 second. Okay, let's take a look.
Maybe that's because all of a sudden, it's all around us. You may have seen this tape already. If not, you've likely
He's talking about the police state here. So the police state is all around us.
seen many more like it in the past few weeks. 2 armed officers arrive at a family's home in Wisconsin. Someone has reported the mother to police for arranging a play date for her daughter. That's now a crime. Here's what happened next.
Are you aware that we're in a stay-at-home order right now
Yeah,
by
obviously.
the government?
Yes,
of
I am
Wisconsin?
aware.
Okay, you're aware of that?
I am
I
aware.
don't need to explain that to you?
Why are you here?
Because your daughter is going to play at other people's home and you're allowing it to happen. Stop having your kid go by other people's home.
Are we done here?
No, we're not. Your
Okay.
middle initial and your last name.
I'm not giving it to you. I haven't done anything wrong.
Okay,
I already
perfect.
got it.
We got it.
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll be documented too, that you're uncooperative.
Will be documented that you're uncooperative. Huh. What this is America? What this is America? You know, the South Park scene. What this is America?
You were uncooperative. That will be documented. Notice the tone they strike with this mother. They are standing on her property, uninvited, hectoring her about the so-called crime of allowing her daughter to play outside the house. They're not apologizing for this. They're not embarrassed to be carrying out an order that has no basis in science. They are utterly self-confident. They treat her with pure contempt like a peasant. And later, the Calumet County Sheriff's Department posted an account of what happened on their Facebook page. In it, they refer to that mother's mobile home 6 times. Just, you know, she lives in a mobile home. Oh, just a prole, just a peasant. Shut up and obey. Who cares what she thinks? They believe they have the right to do that. The question is, where exactly do they get that right? That's a good question. It's a question that we are strongly discouraged from asking. The short answer is governors told them they could. Never in American history have politicians been more powerful than they are now. Effectively, they are gods. In the state of Maine, for example, Governor Janet Mills now has the power to suspend any law she doesn't like. She can seize any state resource she feels like seizing.
Yep. Politicians, man. The pile of shittens, as I like to call them. But let's take a look at big tech, how big tech is censoring. Wait, where is it? Big tech censors dissent over coronavirus lockdowns.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Last night on this show, we played you a clip from a nearly hour-long video produced by 2 physicians in California.
Exactly. Yeah, those people right here. They came out against the lockdown rules and now they're being censored.
Doctors Dan Erickson and Artin Masihi. Likely many of you had already seen it. That video has had more than 5 million views on YouTube. In their presentation, the 2 doctors presented a flurry of data pointing to what we are currently learning about this virus and how it spreads. They recited pages of government statistics and then interpreted them in light of their own long clinical experience as doctors. At one point, they noted that the newly adjusted death rate in their state of California, which is much lower than anyone expected it to be, and they asked if government officials there should change their policies based on this new science. Watch.
We've seen 1,227 deaths in the state of California with a possible incidence or prevalence of 4.7 million. That means you have a 0.03 chance of dying from COVID-19 in the state of California. 0.03 chance of dying from COVID in the state of California. Does that necessitate sheltering in place? Does that necessitate shutting down medical systems? Does that necessitate people being out of work?
So whatever your view of the mass quarantines, and maybe you're enthusiastically for them, the questions you just heard are valid questions. In fact, they're critical questions. We should all be asking those questions, including and especially our policymakers. But as Dr. Erickson pointed out later in the video, dissent of any kind is no longer tolerated in this country. Fact-based honesty, which is the soul of science, is under attack, even in hospitals. Dr. Erickson described physicians being pressured to classify illnesses and deaths as related to coronavirus, whether they believe that to be true or not.
We aren't pressured to test for flu, but ER doctors now, my friends that I talk to say, you know, it's interesting, when I'm writing up my death report, I'm being pressured to add COVID. Why is that? Why are we being pressured to add COVID to maybe increase the numbers and make it look a little bit worse than it is? I think so.
So what you just heard, what Dr. Erickson described, is called lying. And lying has no place in science ever. It's scary to think it takes place on a large scale in hospitals. He says it does. Viewers of Erickson's video were shocked and transfixed by this. They forwarded the video to friends who forwarded on to their friends. And suddenly, millions of people who have spent the last 6 weeks on a diet of Tiger King and internet memes were watching sober-minded medical researchers reading from charts of statistics. It's hard.
Exactly, yeah. I commend these doctors for coming out and speaking their minds. And we need more people like them, because people like me are obviously not medical professionals. So we need these people. really. Bye everybody. See you guys another time.